Every night, at exactly 10:30, a mother opened the door, not knowing if her son would ever return. Welcome to Deep Heart Stories, where silence speaks and emotions leave a mark. Every night, at exactly 10:30, the front door of the Brooks house opened. Not wide, not in a hurry, just enough to face the empty street. Eleanor Brooks stood there, wrapped in an old shawl, one hand resting on the wooden frame, as if the door itself was the only thing holding her upright. The neighborhood had grown used to it. In the beginning, people asked questions. Is she expecting someone? Later, they stopped asking. Now, they simply looked away, because watching someone wait for too long felt uncomfortable. Lucas Brooks, her only son, had walked out of that same door. 6 years ago, he had promised to return. Soon became silence. No calls, no messages, just unanswered nights. Eleanor cooked one extra portion. Every night, she checked her phone, and at 10:30, without fail, she opened the door, not because she was sure, but because a mother never allows hope to fully die. That night, the air felt colder, the street unusually quiet. Midnight passed. The door remained open. For the first time, Part 2, the son who ran from himself. Lucas didn't leave because he stopped loving his mother. He left because he felt like a failure. Rejected interviews, unpaid bills, broken confidence. Every call home felt impossible. How do you explain disappointment to the person who believes in you the most? Before leaving, he wrote a letter. Mom, I need to fix myself. Before I come back, he placed it in a drawer, thinking he would return soon. Life delayed him. Meanwhile, Eleanor waited. She never read the letter. Silence filled the gap. With guilt, maybe I asked too much. Maybe I failed as a mother. Years passed. Her body weakened, but her routine didn't. One stormy night, the power went out. Darkness swallowed the street. Across the road, Lucas stood, watching. The door was open, still waiting. Lucas didn't leave because he stopped loving his mother. He left because he felt like a failure. Rejected interviews, unpaid bills, broken confidence. Every call home felt impossible. How do you explain disappointment to the person who believes in you the most? Before leaving, he wrote a letter. Mom, I need to fix myself. Before I come back, he placed it in a drawer, thinking he would return soon. Life delayed him. Meanwhile, Eleanor waited. She never read the letter. Silence filled the gap. With guilt, maybe I asked too much. Maybe I failed as a mother. Years passed. Her body weakened, but her routine didn't. One stormy night, the power went out. Darkness swallowed the street. Across the road, Lucas stood, watching. The door was open, still waiting. Soft, uncertain, as if it wasn't sure it should open. Eleanor Brooks froze. Her fingers tightened around the edge of the wooden frame. For a moment, she didn't turn, because after waiting too long, hope becomes frightening. Sometimes it feels safer to stay disappointed than to risk being wrong again. Another step closer. The sound echoed through her chest. Her heart recognized it before her eyes did. She slowly turned, and there he was, Lucas Brooks, standing in the shadow of the same door he had walked out of 6 years ago. He looked older, not just in age, but in weight, as if life had pressed down on his shoulders without mercy. His eyes, once confident, now carried hesitation, guilt, fear. For several seconds, neither of them moved. 6 years of silence stood between them, heavy, unforgiving. Lucas tried to speak. His lips moved, but no sound came out. His throat tightened. Tears rose before words. I didn't think. He stopped, swallowed. I didn't think you would still be waiting. Eleanor stared at him, memorizing his face, as if afraid. This was a dream. that might disappear. Then, slowly, a familiar smile appeared, soft, tired, but real. I kept the door open, she said quietly, so you wouldn't forget. The way home, that sentence broke something inside him. Lucas dropped his bag, his knees weakened. Years of regret crashed into him. I'm sorry, he cried. I failed. I was ashamed. I didn't know how to come back. Eleanor stepped forward, placed her hand on his head the same way she did when he was a child. You don't need success to come home, she said. You only need to come. Inside the house, nothing had changed. The same walls, the same smell, the same quiet, as if time had been holding its breath. Lucas looked around. You kept everything, he whispered. I knew you'd need it, Eleanor replied. That night, they talked about failures, about fear, about loneliness. Eleanor listened, without judgment, without interruption. When Lucas finished, she said only one thing. You were never lost. You only forgot. You were loved for the first time in years. Lucas slept without fear, but regret never leaves quietly. It waits for truth. The next evening, Lucas checked the clock. 10:30. His body reacted before his mind did. This was the time. The door. Eleanor didn't move. She stayed seated, breathing slowly. Lucas waited. 10:40. Unease spread through him. For 6 years, she had waited. Tonight, it was his turn. Mom. He walked toward her room, his steps careful, as if noise itself might break something. He found her sitting on the bed, her face pale but calm. You didn't come to the door, he said. Eleanor smiled faintly. I got tired tonight. Those words cut deeper than any accusation. Lucas noticed her hands, thin, tired. Hands that had held hope. For years. When did this start? He asked. She looked away. A long time ago, she said. But mothers don't stop waiting just because they're tired. Guilt wrapped around him. Every night, she stood there, aching, hoping, while he hid. That night, Lucas didn't sleep. He sat beside her, listening to her breathing. Each breath, a reminder. Time is not endless. From that day on, Lucas stayed. He worked small jobs, failed, tried again. This time, he didn't run. Neighbors noticed. The door still opened. But now, Lucas stood beside her, not waiting, protecting. One evening, Eleanor watched him, standing at the door, and said softly, I waited so long, so you could find your way back. She looked at him, with peace. Now it's your turn, to live. Those words changed him. Lucas promised himself he would build a life, not to prove the world, but to honor her waiting, because love like hers deserved meaning. But life had one final lesson. Time began to move differently. After that night, Lucas stayed, not out of fear, not out of guilt, but out of choice. Every morning, he woke up with a quiet determination to rebuild, slowly. Honestly, there were days when progress felt invisible, jobs that didn't last, efforts that failed, but this time, he didn't disappear. Every evening, he came home, and every night, at 10:30, the door still opened, not because someone was missing, but because someone had returned. Eleanor sat nearby, sometimes watching, sometimes resting, her presence calm, unquestioning. Lucas noticed things he had ignored before, how her breath slowed after small efforts, how her hands trembled when she lifted a cup, how waiting had taken more from her than she ever admitted. One evening, she called him closer. Do you remember why I stood at that door every night? Lucas shook his head. I didn't wait because I was certain you would return, she said. I waited because leaving the door closed felt like giving up on you. Those words settled deep inside him. Lucas understood then, waiting was never about time. It was about faith. Weeks passed. Eleanor grew weaker, but her eyes remained peaceful. as if she had already found what she was waiting for. One quiet night, she asked Lucas to open the door just for a moment, she said. I want to feel the air again. Lucas hesitated. You don't need to wait anymore, he said softly. She smiled. I'm not waiting, she replied. I'm remembering. The door opened. Cool air filled the room, the same air that once carried hope and uncertainty. Eleanor looked at the street, the empty road, the silent lights, and whispered, I stood here every night, not because I knew you would come back, but because I believed one day you would forgive yourself. Lucas felt his throat tighten. He held her hand, and for the first time, he understood. Forgiveness had been waiting for him to. That night, Eleanor slept quietly, peacefully, and did not wake up. The house felt different, not empty, just still. Lucas stood at the door, alone. 10:30. The door opened, no footsteps, no waiting, and he realized waiting had ended, but its meaning had not. Years later, people still talk about the Brooks house. They say, the door opens every night, but not for someone to return. It opens to remind that love does not abandon, that patience is powerful, and that some sacrifices are invisible. Lucas keeps the door open, not because he expects anyone, but because gratitude needs space. He lives differently now. Present, honest, unafraid of failure, because he knows home is not a reward. Home is a promise, and some promises are kept, even when no one is watching. If your mom is still waiting, don't assume. There is always time. Go home, because one day the door will open, and the lesson will be all that's left. Some doors stay open for years, but not forever.